Good evening. Welcome to Vibin with Ashley Live. I'm your host, Ashley Live. This is episode 173. My guests for this evening are Jocelyn and Chris, Powerhouse Sibling Musical Act, blues and rock. So very excited to bring them into my show. They're from upstate New York. They have an incredible stage presence, and they're currently on tour promoting their fifth album, Favorite Ghost. They are in the house. I'm going to bring them on right in. And thank you guys for joining me this evening. Hold on, I'm going to just pin this comment and then I'll bring you guys right in. Good evening, everyone. Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi, how's it going?
Hi.
Doing well. Jocelyn and Chris, thank you for coming on my show. I'm so excited to spend my evening with you guys.
Yeah,
Thanks
for having us. Really appreciate it.
Yes, of course. So let's just hop right into it. So I want to start at the very beginning of your life, when you guys were kids. So let's talk about music in your childhood and what that did to make you the musicians that you are today.
Yeah, so we grew up, we're siblings. We grew up in a really small town in upstate New York called Fort Plain.
Yeah.
And basically growing up, like, we just were raised on a steady diet of like classic rock and blues and jazz and pop and kind of everything across the board, like music genre wise. But our parents are huge music fans, so they made sure that we were, raised on rock and roll. And it really, like, looking back, it really shaped our songwriting style and our performance style as well. So
How about for you, Chris?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, same household, but the whole vibe was, I don't know if our parents would describe themselves as musicians, but they're like two of the biggest music lovers that we know, you know?
Yeah.
So when we were growing up, we had this big room that was just full of their CD collection, and we would go in after school or on Saturdays and Sundays or whatever, just like kind of pick CDs at random to listen to, and it just kind of became like a family ritual. We also had a rule: we could never have a meal without music, because I think partially because our parents love music, but mainly because my dad cannot handle chewing noises from people's mouths. So there was just always music on in the house, and it was always from that massive CD collection, which it was everything, but it was a lot of classic rock and roll. So a lot of like blues and rock and people like Janis and Stevie Ray Vaughan and Mark Knopfler and everyone you could think of that we listened to them all the time growing up. So
yeah.
Very cool. I love how you would have to listen to music during dinner.
Yeah.
I love it. So when you guys had the opportunity to pick a CD for dinner, what CDs were you like, oh my gosh, we need to listen to this specific CD or this specific artist?
So it kind of depended on the day. For me, I remember like really, I kept going back to like Jewel and Shania Twain. We had a bunch of country music. But then there would be like, oh, tonight we're listening to the Manhattan Transfer, and then tonight we're listening to like Meatloaf, Bat Out of Hell, and then Chris would pick in, it would be like Leonard Skinner Greatest Hits, or like so it kind of depended on the day. Sometimes our parents would be like, put on some jazz or put on some pop or whatever, and then we'd pick like our favorite. But yeah, it kind of depended on our mood, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. So Chris, Leonard Skinner, who else for you?
So basically I've always been into instrumental solos and just the instrumentalism. So when I was really little, like swing and jazz were my go-tos because they just had such crazy solos. And then I kind of discovered blues. And then when I started playing guitar, that kind of focused on guitar. So that's when I really went down the blues rabbit hole. I got into Skinner because I had a CD that had like Sweet Home Alabama and Freebird and Give Me Three Steps and all of those songs with such great solos, and then Floyd and Zeppelin and bands like basically anyone with a great guitar solo is someone who I would gravitate towards for a dinner music pick. Although there was a brief period where there was a moratorium on that Leonard Skinner CD.
He played it way too much.
Hey, but I think when it comes to music, it's like, it doesn't matter what CD it is or what album it is, because if you love it and it speaks to you, like, you can play it all the time. Like, I know people that are like, I listen to the same song like 20 times in a row because I love it so much.
Sometimes it's just what you need to hear at that
Yeah,
moment.
absolutely.
You know? Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So, Jocelyn, you said Jewel. And the reason I want to talk about Jewel is because I actually had the opportunity to see you guys live at the New York State Jazz Fest in Syracuse, New York. I saw you guys live and you blew me away. So you guys did a rendition of Who Will Save Your Soul by Jewel. I'm going to be honest with you, Jocelyn. My eyes were welling up with tears because you knew so much during this song. So I would like to talk about this song and what it means to both of you guys.
First of all, it's one of my favorite songs, and I am right there with you. Like, when I hear Jewel sing it, definitely makes me cry as well. I mean, a lot of her music does that to me.
Yeah.
I love Jewel, and like she's actually out on tour right now, and like I've been following her on social media, and like oh, she's just amazing. But that song in particular, I mean, I feel like it's definitely one of, you know, she has such a unique vocal style, and she has a lot of things that she does that, you know, immediately clue you into the fact that it's her, you know, like no one else could do it like Jewel, you know, and like there are vocalists like that, like Alanis Morissette is another example of a vocalist that like no one does it like her, you know, and I always wanted to have a voice and a style that was like that, and you know, so I always like just drew a huge inspiration from voices like Alanis and Jewel, and like Pat Benatar is another one, and Freddie Mercury is another one, who it's exactly like who they are in every single thing that they do. Is just like their full body and their full mind is in the performance.
Yeah.
And so it's just like, I love that song so much, and it's such a beautiful song. I mean, the whole album is amazing, but it's so fun to sing, and also I just have such an appreciation for Jewel and like her artistry. It's just amazing.
And Chris, what does that song mean to you?
You know, so that album, Pieces of You, that was like Jocelyn's version of the Leonard Skinner album. She would play that just back to back to back. And so it's just a song that I just remember growing up with. And I don't think I ever connected with it like in that deep of a way other than just really loving it as a song. Like, it's a beautiful song, and Jewel's version of it, like the way she uses her voice, like as somebody who grew up like really interested in the instrumentals of music, listening to Jewel as a vocalist was always really interesting to me, because I feel like she sings kind of like a lot of instrumentalists approach like instrumental solos. She does all this crazy unique stuff that Jocelyn was talking about.
And so it's yodel.
Like that's yodel, like who else yodels, like, especially what? So it's just, I've always really enjoyed listening to her, and that song is probably the one that I've heard the most. So it was really fun to kind of like come up with like our own twist on it, you know, just because we grew up with it, and it's like it's such a big part of what we listened to when we were young.
Yeah, and I love that you cover a song that's so very important to you guys, because sometimes, you know, when people do covers, they'll do like a cover from Top 40 Radio or something. But
right.
Jewel, like that song, like I was like, oh my gosh, they're singing "Who Will Save Your Soul" by Jewel. Like I hadn't heard that song in such a long time, and it kind of brought me back to that time when I first heard it on the radio. I was like, who is Jewel? She is like demanding like, her artistry and her songwriting. It was just so very beautiful. And Jocelyn, when I saw you just sing that song, and I was like, wow. So when you talk about Alanis and Janice and Pat Benatar and all those powerful women, like your stage presence is like nothing I've ever seen before. Like you use the entire stage when you're up there. Talk to me about
thank you
when you're singing on stage.
Oh, it's the best. I mean, there's like nothing like it, you know. And we love, you know, it's funny, we always say like whatever part of the job we're doing is the part that we love the most at that time, like, you know. So even like the nitty gritty of like, you know, businessy type stuff, and even honestly like mailing stuff out to radio, or you know, when we're in the studio, or when we're songwriting at home, or when we're rehearsing, like it's all amazing. But the live show with people and a stage like that, you know, it's just, there's nothing really quite like that. And I try to, I'm glad you said that, thank you, because I do try to use a lot of the stage, you know. I mean, it's there, you might as well like make the most of it, you know. So I really try to like, you know, and I mean, we've been performing out for I mean, like nationally for like 10 years. So we've had a lot of practice, you know. And even when we were in middle school and high school, this is something we'd like constantly practice. And I'm always like, I'm always in the moment enjoying it, but I'm also always working on something. Right. So like, you know, like running around and like messing with the mic cord and like, you know, spinning around, figuring out how to jump up and down and still sing and make it sound like on key, like crouching down on the ground and like playing with levels and, you know, making eye contact with people. For the longest time, like I had to constantly be reminded to keep my eyes open sometimes. Remember, I used to do entire shows where my eyes were closed the entire time.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's cool now because we can go out and we can perform with the band, and it's just like we can really just enjoy it because I feel like we've really, you know, and we will continue to work on it, but we've worked on it as a craft for a really long time. So, thank you for saying that, because
yeah, I love it because I go to a lot of shows and I love the energy I get from the musicians when I see a live show. So Chris, tell me, when you look at Jocelyn in the middle of some of these songs and you guys make eye contact, it's like, talk to me about that feeling between the two of you.
Yeah, I mean, she's a very, very fun front person to play behind. As like you're saying, she's got so much energy. It's like, it's pretty infectious on the stage. I think Dan, our bassist, and David, our drummer, would agree that it's just like, it's a ton of fun to be on stage with Jocelyn. And I mean, like she said, we've all been doing it for such a long time that we're all really comfortable in our skin. And we're
with each other.
Yeah, and with each other. And it's like, you know, I mean, if you came to see us perform like 10, 15 years ago, like I would have been standing stiff as a board, just like focusing on playing the right notes and trying not to look at the crowd. And now it's like, it's so much more comfortable up there with each other. And yeah, it's just awesome. And so like, also we play our music a lot. So there are all of these moments, we know the song so well that when something happens that's a little bit interesting, like David does something on the drums that's a little bit different than he normally does, and it's like a cool fill, or I do something really cool, or sometimes I make a mistake and it's like, ooh, that was an interesting note to play, and we just kind of like lock eyes, and it's just like sort of a fun moment, and it's just a part of what makes the live show so special. Is it, like, those things, you can't plan them out, you can't repeat them, they're just like, they happen and they're gone and they're there, and there's no other place that you can have that kind of a thing. It's all at the live show.
Yeah. So yeah, it's so cool because you play so many different venues and the crowds are different. You might lock eyes with someone might like hold a sign up or something, right? And then you kind of like, oh, I see your sign, or you know what I mean?
Yeah,
totally.
And that like spontaneous connection is just like, I mean, it's just, you can't beat that, you know? Every show's different, and that's what makes live music like just so special to me, you know?
Definitely. So you told me about some of your influences earlier when you talked about the CD collection, but talk to me about other artists that really inspire you.
Yeah, I mean, so like big voices, like we were talking about before. You mentioned, I mentioned Pat Benatar, you mentioned Janis, Freddie Mercury, absolutely. I love like Amy Winehouse is another huge inspiration. Talk about using your voice as an instrument. Just like nobody did it like her. Who else? Natalie Merchant is another huge one. Yeah. We grew up listening to Tiger Lily. That album, it's one of my dad's favorite albums. So we grew up listening to that, and I just amazing.
It's so good. Sarah McLachlan
actually, we listened to a lot of Sarah McLachlan growing up, and she's, you know, an amazing performer, an amazing songwriter.
And another one of those people who, like, no one else can do the thing that she does. Like, it's just she's the only person that does that.
No, yeah. And then on your side, I feel like we listen to a lot of Stevie Ray Vaughan and B.B. King, Robert Cray, like the classic blues cats.
I really gravitated towards, especially once I started playing guitar and got into soloing and playing lead guitar, I really started gravitating towards like lead guitarists who don't play that fast. I think partially because I really like melodic guitar solos, the kind that you can like listen to and come away and they're like stuck in your head like the melody of the song. And also because I can't really play that fast. It's never been like one of my strengths is the fast playing. So I always like listening to and trying to figure out how like people like Eric Clapton or Jimmy Page, or, you know, people who aren't necessarily known for their shredding can still make these guitar solos that are like so like beautiful and memorable and just like special. And I think that's something that we've been working on in the studio for a long time. And David, our drummer, he's also our producer. He helps out a lot with that. And I feel like it's been a really fun journey to develop my lead guitar style in that like way.
It's funny. It's like I feel like I try to use my voice like an instrument, and you try to use your instrument like a
like
voice.
a voice. Yeah,
So,
I've never thought about that.
yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like what you said about that, because I think sometimes people use their voice as an instrument, and then use it as a voice is really cool, because you're like, yeah, like this is not just guitar. Like this is going to be like its own voice, its own energy, its own spirit.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just that part of the song that you can latch onto and sing along to it, even if it's a guitar solo, you know?
Yeah, very cool. So you've been playing live for 10 years, but you also both graduated from the prestigious Harvard University. What? Like, not only are you phenomenal musicians, but you're both extremely smart. So talk to me about college and life after college and how it made you into the musicians that you are today.
Oh my gosh. Well, first of all, it was crazy.
Yes.
And looking back, I'm honestly like a little bit surprised that we were able to balance music with school. So school was always, you know, college was always in the cards. Both our parents are public school teachers. Actually, they just retired. So, wow.
We're public school teachers.
That's new. That's new. They just retired. That's my dad. Congrats. But yeah, so school was always really important to us. So, you know, even before we realized that we wanted to be professional musicians for a living, college was in the cards.
Yeah.
So going into college with sort of a newly formed mindset of, wow, we could also do music for a living. We met David and Anna, who are still our managers, my senior year of high school. And shout out to David, who's also in the comments. Hi. But yeah, so going into that, it was sort of like how are we going to make this work? But, you know, luckily, you know, people at Harvard were, I think, honestly, like they were really accepting of our plans, and they were really flexible in most cases, like, because they're like, okay, you're doing something, you know, like you're committing to a thing. We can understand that you want to do your classwork. You also want to do music. We can support that as long as you also get the work done on your own schedule. So luckily, you know, most of the time, my professors were really understanding about like, hey, I'm going to South by Southwest this weekend, so peace out. That paper I'm supposed to drop off in person, gonna have to email it to you instead, you know, because I gotta finish it like, you know, in the airport on the way to the whatever. So luckily, like, kind of people helped us out a bit, and then we were able to kind of cram our class schedule from like Monday to Thursday so that we could have the show schedule and then the classes and then kind of rinse and repeat. But in terms of what I think, what it taught me, it kind of, I think, really pushed me to challenge myself even more than I was used to. Like, you know, and there's always stuff to do, right? There's always projects to accomplish, and there's always music that could be written, or, you know, homework that you could be doing in any case. But it kind of really helped me out with prioritizing like what needed to be done that day versus what needed to be done that week or that month even. And that's a skill that I think has been invaluable as we've, you know, continued after college with music, because there's no rule book for being an independent musician. You know, there's no like set way of doing things, and it's like you kind of have to create your own schedule, and like you kind of have to prioritize things, and there's not necessarily a right answer in terms of, you know, I could put my energy into this or I could put my energy into this. So that college really helped me out in terms of being able to like value my time and budget my time out to accomplish goals, I guess. Sorry, that was kind of a long answer.
No, I mean, I feel like I kind of came away from it with the same skill set. I mean, I studied computer science, which is in no way related to music at all. But I mean, I had a great time doing it. But I think the skills that are applicable were just, I mean, first off, I grew a lot as a person in college in ways that I don't think I would have outside of college. I'm really thankful for my experiences there, and I really, it was awesome. But yeah, the time management thing was just, because you're right, there is always like, oh man, I have a test tomorrow that I could be studying for, and there's a paper that's due the day after that I haven't actually started. And also we have an album that we're in the middle of recording right now, and we're going to be at a music festival for the next 2 weeks, and like all of these things are happening at once. So like, how do you decide which of those things you need to like work on right now and which ones you can push off a few hours or, you know, streamline or whatever it is. I think those kinds of skills are like what we've carried forward and what have really helped us. Like there's just, you know, there's a lot of work involved in being indie musicians. And I think being able to like look at a large to-do list and come up with the steps from getting from the to-do list to stuff actually done is an important thing to be able to do.
Yeah.
I think like being in college, it teaches you responsibility and prioritizing. And it's like, I have 8 different things I need to do. Like, what am I going to do first? And what's the most important? And then 2 weeks go by and you're like, oh my gosh, I don't even know what's happened the past 2 weeks, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
exactly. I can relate to that.
Okay, so siblings. I love the fact that you guys are siblings. And I think it's so interesting when family gets together and they come out with all this beautiful music together. So what do you guys enjoy most about working with each other?
I think we know each other so well. I mean, we've known each other literally since you existed. So like in terms of, you know, I was actually writing about this earlier today. It's like, you know, especially when it comes to something like songwriting, like any kind of art, in order to make something that you're really proud of, I think a lot of times you have to take a risk and you have to be vulnerable and you have to like throw out an idea that might not be fully formed or it might not even be good, you know, and you have to be comfortable with that. So to be able to, you know, have my songwriting partner be Chris, it's really great because that vulnerability is like, you know, it's totally comfortable for us because we've seen each other at our best and our worst, and we've literally grown up together. So we're totally comfortable being vulnerable and sharing ideas that maybe like, you know, aren't fully formed yet and working on coming up with something together. And that's been amazing. Also, like we have so much shared experience that we can draw from. I feel like we speak like our own songwriting language sometimes, you know, like it just makes sense, you know?
Yeah. Chris, tell me about what it's like working with Jocelyn and what you enjoy most about it.
Yeah, I mean, I think the things that she mentioned are all very real. Also, I mean, there's the added layer of like when you're family, there's nothing, it's not like you can just like get mad at the other person and walk away for any period of time. It just doesn't work when you're roommates and you're hanging out every Thanksgiving and Christmas and weekend and you work together and stuff like that. There's just like, there's only so much room for like anytime something goes wrong, not that it goes wrong that often, but anytime it does, there's just not that much room for like negativity. So we just kind of have to figure out ways to take an issue and solve it and move beyond it. And I think it forces us to like grow as people and to get work done. And it makes, you know, it's like a hard thing to do, trying to be indie musicians. And I think it makes it all the more possible to have somebody who I know is always in my corner and I'm always in their corner. And it's just like, I mean, we're a team. So it's just, it helps a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. Cause I can't even imagine what it's like to be an independent musician by myself, but to have my sibling with me that loves me and rides for me and supports me.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't even imagine what that feeling is like.
It's great. I mean, it's awesome. I'm so glad that we get to figure things out together and we're not by ourselves because, yeah, I don't know what we would do.
And you guys work so perfectly together. Like, and I love that energy and that positivity and just the creativity that you guys have working with each other.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I mean, there'd be no point in trying to be musicians if we didn't love it. You know, there's plenty of things you can do. So I think so. We've never tried to do anything else, but no, for real though, we love it. So, you know, we're gonna continue to work together toward the goal, which is to, you know, keep moving music forward and just, you know, keep getting better. And yeah.
I love that. So speaking of moving forward, your 5th album just came out in June.
Yes.
So talk to me about this because this is an album that you gave exclusively to radio in a world where streaming is so very popular. So tell me why you went straight to radio with this specific project.
You know, we have such a history with radio, and we are so lucky, you know, over the past 5 years or so, we've been sending our music out to radio, and we're indie artists. We're doing this ourselves, but the great thing about radio is there's a real person on the other end of it, so we can, even as indie musicians, we can send our new record out and people will listen to it. People will pick up the phone. People will, talk to us. We can go meet people. We can talk to them about how much we love music, and we can really form these really great relationships that, we love our radio family, and it's just like that kind of, I think, human connection, especially in today's world where there's so many ways to try to copy that. There's nothing like the real thing. So in terms of how we wanted to share the new record, we wanted radio to have it first because they've had our back forever. So we wanted to send it to them, and we also wanted to make it available to our fans in full, because it's a full work, and streaming is great for, hey, listen to this one song or listen to this other one song. But in terms of looking at a project as a full album, it's not really designed for that.
Yeah.
So our goal was put it out as a full album for the fans and for radio. And then over the course of the next few months, we'll feed the streaming platforms with, a song or two at a time, every few weeks to play that game as well. So, but yeah, no, radio has just been a really important part of our music story for so long, and we've had really great success. Runaway is officially, as of last week, is our 5th Billboard AAA Top 40 song. And
yes!
Yeah, I know, and it's crazy. We actually just found out that on the AAA indicator charts in Billboard, it's actually currently number 14, which
is amazing.
Highest ever chart position. It's crazy. We're up there with G-Love is on there, and it's very cool, especially it's just amazing. So we wanted to share it with them first.
Mm-hmm. So Chris, your feelings on radio and giving the album to them first?
Yeah, I mean, like Jocelyn said, we've had a relationship with radio for a really long time, and it is one of the few remaining facets of the industry where indie artists can send an album to somebody and they will actually listen to it. And they don't always like it. Some radio stations, we send them the song and they're like, this doesn't fit our vibe, whatever it is. But it's nice to have people actually listening to it and making decisions based on the music and not based on how many streams or followers or whatever X social media metric is for them. It's really, really nice that there's people making decisions based on a passion about music, because that's why we're all in it. But also we found that radio is more so than any other way that we have worked with musical communities. Radio is our best way to make an in with a community. When we tell our agent where to look for shows, for example, we give our radio markets where we have big radio play, because those are the communities where we can go out and people will come and they will know who we are and they'll sing along to the song because they heard it on the radio, because there was somebody at that radio station who understands the region and who understands the community who said this artist and this song is right for the community that we're in, and they put it on the radio station. And it's just it's a really great way to make a connection with just an area or a group of people. You don't get that. The internet is wonderful, and we would not have gotten through 2020 were we not able to live stream and connect with people all over the world. But in terms of connecting with a small group of people or an area of people, there is nothing that beats radio for us.
Yeah. And I love what you said about knowing what markets you're playing in, and then your manager could be like, oh, you're doing really well in Colorado, let's go to Denver. I think really smart strategy, because if you put something on TikTok and it gets 2 billion streams, you can't really figure out what the demographic is.
Right.
But with radio, you're we gave them that album that month and it's already charting so well, so of course they're gonna love us. We can do the interview at the radio station, then do a show, they'll help promote it. That's very smart. I like that. Thank you.
Yeah, it's worked out so far. So
So talk to me about the inspiration behind the album.
Yeah, so the album's called Favorite Ghosts, and the title comes from the last track on the record, which is My Favorite Ghost. And it's sort of along with that song, I think the album as a whole is about you know, we talk about a lot of these things that, you know, I feel like everyone has their own challenge that they're going through, or their own struggle, or some, you know, impediment in their life that they're working through, or something that they experienced in the past that, you know, they're trying to work through. Mm-hmm. And no matter what that is, it's like we all have that shared experience of having those challenges. And, you know, it's like even though those things are the most challenging aspects of our lives that we face, they're also the aspects of our lives that make us who we are. Mm-hmm. And so I think there's this interesting balance between choosing to move past those things, but also knowing that they are a part of us and they will continue to haunt us. So that's kind of where the name, playing off of haunting, favorite ghosts, comes in. It's like the things that make you who you are that, you know, even though they were very challenging, would you choose to change them in the long run? Because, you know, you are who you are because of them.
Yeah, because it's like we go through these difficult things in our lives and we don't love it while we're going through it. But, yeah, you know, you look back on it a couple years later and you're like, I hated that thing that happened to me, but right, I'm so much better person.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because of that. So yeah, let's talk about some of the songwriting and the creative process with some of these singles on the album.
Yeah. So, well, I guess Runaway is a great example of one where the process was not smooth.
Oh.
It's so funny. Sometimes the song, you know, people say it wrote itself. I wouldn't ever maybe go that far. Yeah. But sometimes it's like, you know, the songs, they like are so smooth and linear and everything feels good from start to finish. And you're like, yes, that's the song, you know? And yeah, then there are times when it's like, you have to like drag it kicking and screaming into the world. And Runaway was one of the latter. We went through so many different versions of Runaway. I think we rewrote the chorus like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
But it was just, you know, the song's about running away and escaping, and it's supposed to be hopeful, and we did not want to stop working on it until it felt like that, you know, until it felt smooth and hopeful and effortless. Mm-hmm. So we had to kind of keep like setting it down, going, doing something else, coming back to it, you know, with fresh ears and being like, oh, duh, that's how it should sound, until, you know, we finally took it to the studio, went through a bunch of renditions in the studio, but we finally arrived at something that's like, I like to think, you know, you can't tell that it was really hard to write, because when you hear it now, it sounds very like flowy and it pulls you forward. But that, I feel like we earned that one. But yeah, then there are songs like Sugar and Spice. That one, you had the riff to that.
Yeah, no, that one just came together like in a flash. The Break Me Down is another one where we thought of the riff, and I think like basically I started playing the riff, Jocelyn started humming along, and we just like played through verse, pre-chorus, chorus, verse, like without discussing it, without doing anything, like without any planning at all. It just like fell together in like such an organic way. Sure. And then from that moment on, it's just a matter of like wrapping up the lyrics, wrapping up all of the transitional parts, and just doing some editing to make sure it all like works as a song, and then we can bring it into the studio and get all of the like the actual recording for it done. And so it's really, it's interesting. There's a big mix between songs like Runaway that it was just like every step of the process was just like
fighting.
Yeah, like nails on a chalkboard, like trying to make it. And then you end up with this song that is like one of my favorite tracks in the album, versus these other songs where it's like, from the moment you play the first note, it's obvious what the song needs to do and how you need to get there with it.
Yeah.
And I think both of those kinds of songs are really like rewarding to write for different reasons. And I'm really glad that we have examples of both of them on the album too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think it's so important because, right, like Runaway, like it's hard. It was hard to write, right? Yeah. Like you said, the chorus was 3 or 4 times. Like I can't even imagine what that's like to have a song and then be like, okay, let's just put this away, walk away, and then come back with a fresh set of eyes, and maybe we can, you know, make this sound a different way, because, you know, you're trying to get this song complete and the way you want it to sound.
Yeah, sometimes it can feel a little bit like 1 step forward, 2 steps back.
Yeah.
You know, and it's tricky too, like when you try to force it and you keep pushing ahead, I feel like sometimes you can get really discouraged and you get really in your head about stuff because you're like, I've heard this so many times today. I've been listening to this song for like 2 hours and I'm not any further down the road. And I'm just like, you know, like you start thinking dumb stuff. Like, like maybe it'll never work, or like, maybe like I forgot how to write songs, or like, you know, ridiculous things. Like, you know, I don't know which way sounds better. Like you get totally like ear blind to stuff if you just try to bulldoze your way through it. So it's really important, I feel like, for us at least, to remind ourselves to be like, okay, it's okay to take a break. You know what? We're not getting anywhere on this right now. Let's go for a walk, or like, let's work on a different song, or let's go make dinner or do something else. And like, I feel like those are the times when all of a sudden, when you're not actively thinking about something, all of a sudden you'll get an idea and you'll be like, oh,
of course.
Why didn't I do that before? But you can't force it, you know?
Yeah. Right. It's like you have to live these experiences. Like okay, you're looking at the course and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm stuck. And you're like, oh, let's just take a walk really quick. You take a walk and you're like, oh my gosh, here it is. It's right here. But you needed to step away from it to kind of have that clarity to be like, okay, this is where we're supposed to go with it.
Yeah. And I feel like sometimes your brain is like, you can get in the way of your own brain if you don't let something else for a while, and then it'll surprise you. It'll, you know, you'll be in the shower and you'll be like humming to something and all of a sudden it'll fix itself. Or like you'll be taking a walk and the cadence of your footsteps, you'll be like, oh, that's the tempo, you know, like stuff like that. Your brain is like, finally I can do my thing because you're not letting me you know, you're finally letting me think about things in a different way.
So sorry, what'd you say, Chris?
Oh no,
the comments are very funny.
Oh, you were reading the comments. Oh, so you guys have been on tour for quite some time. I want to talk about what life is like on the road with you guys. Do you have any like rituals that you do, like when you go to certain cities? Are there certain places that you need to hit up? Talk to us about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. It's like, so for the past 4 weeks, we've been doing so in August and September we're going to be going out and we will be out
for like 7 weeks.
Yeah, for a long time. But for the past month we've been doing, we call it Weekend Warrior stuff, which is like you drive like 16 hours on a Thursday or a Wednesday. You have shows Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then you come back on a Monday, and then you have like 1 or 2 days at home before you know, rinse and repeat. And we literally have driven to the Midwest.
The past 3 weeks, every single weekend we have been in Illinois and Wisconsin.
Yeah. So it's like, it's a hustle, you know, and you spend a lot of time in the car. So, I mean, like, we have all sorts of inside jokes now because it seems like we literally have been on the same road for like many hours.
Yes.
So like
way too intimate with Route 90.
Like we know at this point, we know all of the layouts of the different like
the
truck
rest areas
stops
and the loves. Yeah.
Like all of the loves, like there's like 3 different loves format, like floor plans that we all, like you can just walk in the door and you immediately know where the bathroom is because we've been to all of them.
Yeah.
Like Pilot, like same thing. It's just like this weird knowledge that, like, I was talking to someone else, one of the guys on the crew with G Love when we played with G Love in Peoria a couple weeks ago, and we were talking about which gas stations have like the best food. Because like that's something that we know about
that
now.
Matters.
It's like, oh yeah, Royal Farms, like they have really good fried chicken. Like you wouldn't expect that, but like Wawa, that's where you get the sandwiches, you know. And then like Love's, they have cold brew now, which is actually not bad, you know. It's like this random knowledge that we've just amassed. But as far as like road rituals, I'm trying to think. Like
Jocelyn always writes out the set lists by hand. Oh, we have a cat coming into the room.
Yeah, he might make an appearance.
Yeah, she always writes out the set list by hand before we go on for the show. I think just as like a way to like get into the space of refine. Why do you do that? I don't know.
I mean, I like have some anxiety, and I think that it helps me. It's one of the things that helps me like kind of keep myself grounded before a show and get into the zone. I always handwrite out the set lists, and it's kind of just this like, it's like a thing that I do every time that helps me kind of like get into show mode. You know, as I'm like warming up or whatever. Yeah, I mean, okay. So we also like, as we have traveled throughout the country, we've made a bunch of like really cool friends that we try to stop in and see when we can. So like we're huge fans of beer and barbecue.
Mhm.
So like we try to like stop in at like the local barbecue joint whenever we can, and
or the local microbrewery.
Right.
Yeah.
So we've been to a lot of breweries. There's one place, shout out to Coal Creek Smokehouse in Rocky Top, Tennessee. Every time we are like remotely close to there, we try to visit because it's like the best barbecue you will ever have. And it's so fun, like to the point where we've like live streamed from their front porch, like played a song, and then like we'll eat a bunch of barbecue, like way too much barbecue, and then you know, it's just like, I don't know, that's the cool thing about traveling all across the country, is you get to meet people and experience new things, and it's really awesome.
Also on the beer side, we've worked with Peacemaker Brewing out in Canandaigua, New York, which is actually pretty close to where you saw us in Syracuse. But we've brewed beers with them for singles before, and it's just always, it's nice to like, you know, make friends about things that are not music, but like things that we're still passionate about, and then, you know, get to work with those people and get to go back and see those people when we're back in the area. And it's really nice to make those kind of connections, because when you're on the road a lot, it's like the one thing that you miss is home and the connections with the people that you care about. So it's really nice to like have some of that existing on the road.
Yeah, and I love how you hit like the barbecues, but then you also go to the breweries, because I think like some breweries, and I'm sure you've been to quite a few, like they're so amazing and they have live music, and they're on like these estates, and you're like, this is so awesome.
Yeah. Beer and live music just go together. They're like peanut butter and jelly for sure.
Definitely. So do you guys have any favorite venues or cities that you love going to?
Jeez. I mean, we mentioned we were in Illinois. I love going back to Peoria. There's a great radio station there. Shout out to WWCT. They support us, so we've gone back there a few times, and it's one of the places where like people will show up and they'll be singing along to our songs, which is insane. Another place where that happens is Sacramento, California, which we have not been back there in way too long, but we are headed back this summer, so I'm really excited for that. I mean, like, it's just really nice, especially after, you know, not being able to tour for a hot minute, to be able to go out and like see a bunch of familiar faces and also meet people in person for the first time, you know, who we've interacted with for like a year and a half because we've been live streaming so much. And so it's like, I feel like I already know a lot of people, but then we'll finally actually meet them in person. So that's been happening, which is really nice. You know, we can, I don't know. It's been really awesome. Honestly, I feel like anywhere we're going next, like that's my favorite place. And then, you know, it's great.
Totally. Chris, do you have any favorite venues, cities, places you definitely want to go back to?
I mean, I'm always really excited about the big festival shows. They're crazy stressful because there's so many other people and there's so much happening. And it's like, you know, when you're playing a headline show at a club or a theater, it's like, oh, the show's at 8, so we'll arrive at 3 and we'll have 2 hours to get our stuff on stage, and then we'll have an hour to sound check and an hour to eat, and then doors, and we'll have 2 hours before the show. And these festival shows, it's like the show's at 8, so you get the stage at 7:35 and you have 25 minutes to do all of that stuff that you would normally do in like 4 hours. But it's so much worth it because the crowds are always so into music. They're there because it's just such a celebration of like live music and the craft of like performing and songwriting, and you get to see so many other people. So this summer we're playing Bourbon and Beyond in Louisville, which is going to be amazing. Yeah. We're playing the Blues at the Crossroads Festival, which is, I think, similar. It's in Indiana, but it's similar to the New York State Blues Fest in Syracuse. And just those shows are always really, really fun. And then in terms of cities, it's just really nice to go to places where, like, honestly, places where we have radio play and we've gotten that connection with the community. Like Jocelyn mentioned, there's that station in Peoria. We have a couple of stations in Boston that have been really supportive. New Hampshire and down the eastern seaboard, and then over on the West Coast, we have really had great success in Sacramento. And it's just always nice. It's really cool to explore the cities, but we don't always get time to do that. So I think the thing that makes a city special to me when we're on the road is the feeling of like connecting with people and having people come out to shows that are clearly really invested in it, because for us, it's like we're putting it all out there, and it's very emotional and it's very intimate. And we would do it if there were no one in the room, or if there were only 1 or 2 people in the room, and it's still really, really fun. But when there's 100 people in the room, it's so much more fun, and there's so much more energy, and it's just a delightful experience. So
Yeah, I can only imagine what it's like when you're at a festival, because there's so much going on at these festivals, right? Like sometimes they start at 12 and then they go to midnight, and it's just like you meet so many cool people. You're able to meet people afterwards, and just, you know, it's just like the whole vibe and energy of music festivals.
Oh, there's nothing like it. I mean, it's chaos, but it's the best kind of chaos, for sure.
So looking back on your career so far, what is something that you're most proud of in your musical career?
Oh man. So, well, we had the opportunity to perform on NBC's Today Show a couple years ago, and that was really a pinch me moment, I would say.
That was pretty crazy.
That was wild. We got up at like 3:30 a.m. because our call time was like 4:30 or 5 or something crazy.
Yeah, it was wild. It was the only good reason to wake up that early.
It was an insane experience. Everyone there was so nice, and like Al Roker came up to us after, and he's like, "That's a great song," you know, and like it was just a very surreal moment. So that definitely stands out for me. I'm really, you know, excited to do more stuff like that in the future. I mean,
I think for me, we you know, like a lot of the times when you're working on something every single day, you don't always see the progress. But there are some moments where it's like really like salient that you've like done something special and cool and something that is like really awesome. And I think for me, one of the big moments was, you know, having been a guitarist for a long time, I've always been really into like just listening to music that's instrument forward. So like listening to bands like Gov't, Mule, and listening to G Love and Special Sauce, or I think it's G Love and the Juice now, or, you know, whatever it is. But then like a few years back, we're in the studio and we're working on our next album, and like our manager David is like, oh, you know, I think Danny Lewis might want to like record on this track, or G Love might want to lay down some harmonica on this track. And so we reach out to these people who I've been looking up to for a really long time, and we've actually recorded with Danny Lewis from Gov't, Mule, and G Love and Byron Isaacs from the Lumineers, and it's like pretty special to get to work on music with them. That in and of itself was special, but I think the moment that was really awesome for me is with both Danny and G Love. When they were in the studio, you know, you pay them like hourly for their time, and the 60 minutes are up, and you kind of expect them to say like, okay, cool, well, my time's up, I gotta go catch my bus and go home, because those guys travel all the time and they're never home. But in both cases, they were like really into it, and they were like, I want to try laying down another couple tracks. I know my 60 minutes up, but I want to be here for another 15, 20 minutes. I want to like give you guys the best I can. This is a really good song. And having somebody who I respect that much, like working on our music and getting into it and wanting to like contribute to it, that was really special for me.
Yeah. And I think the collaboration is so cool, because like you said, you look up to these people and they're like, yeah, we'll come do something with you guys in the studio.
It's great. It's awesome.
It's wild, honestly. It's the best.
I love it. So for the beautiful people watching right now that absolutely love Jocelyn and Chris, how can they support you guys on your musical journey?
Yeah, well, I think number one is come see us in person. Come see a live show. That's really, you know, that's where we shine, is our live show with the band. So you can definitely check out jocelynandchris.com. It's also pinned in the comment. But come see us on the road. We would love to play a show for you.
We're going to be all over the country this summer. So if you're in the lower 48, we will probably be somewhere near where you are.
You can also, check out the new album. So it'll be on streaming services in full in the fall, and you can listen to it then. But you can listen to it now if you go to jocelynandchris.com, and you can actually buy a copy of the album, or you can buy a digital copy of the album. And that's huge, because, you know, it helps us do what we do, and you get to hear our new record, which I am very proud of. So I would love for you guys to hear it. But yeah, come see a show and listen to our music, I think is the long and the short of it.
Yes, guys, go get the new album and get tickets to see Jocelyn and Chris. Even if you've seen them previously, they're going to be back out on the road. So tell everybody right now where they can follow you on all your social.
Yes. So here on Instagram, at Jocelyn and Chris Music. We're on Facebook, Jocelyn and Chris. We're on Twitter, at Jocelyn and Chris. TikTok at Jocelyn Chris. You can follow us on Spotify and Apple Music and YouTube and all that good stuff. So, and you can also find all those links on our website too, jocelynchrismusic.com.
Yes, you guys are everywhere. I was looking at you guys earlier, like you literally are on every single social media platform. And I think that's so important because yes, your website, your TikTok, your Facebook. I was like, oh, are you guys on Twitter? I'm like, oh, they are on Twitter. So yeah, pretty much everywhere.
Oh yeah.
We try to like, you know, we try to do what we can do to get ourselves out there for sure.
Definitely. Well, thank you guys so much for spending your evening with me. That's all the questions I have, but guys, don't go anywhere because Jocelyn and Chris will be performing. Guys, take it away.
All right. Do you want to do Sugar and Spice first?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, we're going to play Sugar and Spice first. Right about now, you got me thinking it through, talking about the fool I will and around. I've been coming on who, what's the use? Right about now, I don't know how I can take the headache, and you've been showing up right on cue, like that, right about you. Sugar and spice, it would be nice. Ooh, yeah. Sugar and spice, the dark and the light. Are you thinking about me? 'Cause I've been thinking about you. Yeah. Yes, I've been thinking about you. Right about now, you got me hoping you're bluffing. You're leaving alone and you're leaving me nothing. It's a long walk with a sharp shoes because it does stay right. Fucking like a firefly caught in a bell. I shine for you like a north star. I'm just trying to run as the time allows. My God, I hope you're right about now. Sugar and spice, it would be nice. Ooh, yeah. Sugar and spice, the dark and the light. Are you thinking about me? Yeah. Sugar and spice, the bark and the bite. Sugar and spice, the roll of the dice. But what can I do? You got me thinking about you. You got me thinking about you. Thinking about you. Thinking about you. Thinking about, thinking about you. Thinking about, thinking about you. Thinking about you. Try not to set it. It's getting harder to bet it. And you don't get stuck, lost in the day. You say that it'll work out right like sugar and spice. But it's tic-tac-toe, touch and go. I'm for sure I know that it'll work out right. Just like sugar and spice. Yeah, sugar and spice. It would be nice. Sugar and spice, the dark and the light. Sugar and spice, the bark and the bite. Sugar and spice, the roll of the dice. But what can I do? You got me thinking about you. You got me thinking about you. Right about you.
Woo! Sugar and spice.
Thank you.
Loves that one. Sosie says, wow, love this song. And emojis up, sugar and spice. Love it.
Oh yeah.
Oh, thank
That's
you guys.
awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Want to hear another one? Yeah? Should we keep going? Okay, cool. So this one's Runaway. This is the current single, and this is the one that is in the Billboard AAA Top 40 right now. Yeah. let's just run away. Run away. You gave an inch, they took a mile. Every hell, they took away the reason to smile. Didn't feel right away. Lost the words, you couldn't say what you were trying to say. Run away. You took a shot, didn't get far. For a moment you forgot who you were. You got a choice, yeah, you can choose. So come with me, 'cause you got nothing to lose. And your bones are aching, and you feel like you're lost, and your head is rushing, and your heart is breaking. Oh, don't you see? Just run away with me. Let's just run away. Run away. We make the rules, we draw the lines. If your hope is running low, follow mine. 'Cause they can keep that point of view, yeah. Truth be told, we're staying bad, there's only one thing to do. When your bones are aching and you feel like you're lost and your head is rushing and your heart is breaking. Oh, don't you see? Just run away when the earth is waking and the sun's on the burn. You're losing your voice and you're losing your mind. When your heart is breaking, oh, don't you see? Just run away. When your bones are in hands of shame, run away with me. When the light seems so real, the truth is fading, getting hard to see. When your bones are in hands of shame, heart is breaking. I'm a chance for a taking, so it's low. I don't care, say the word, tell me that this is we can run away. Run away with me. When your bones are aching and you feel like you're lost and your head is rushing and your heart is breaking. Oh, don't you see? Just run away with me. When the earth is breaking and the sun's on the burn, you're losing your voice and your soul and your mind. When your heart is breaking, oh, don't you see? Just run away. Run away. Let's just run away.
Woo!
Thank you.
Thank you.
And congrats on all the success with
Thank you.
Runaway. When you posted it, I'm like, yeah, so excited for you guys.
I'm excited too. It's like it's an exciting time, you know?
Yeah, I'm just gonna scroll back up. You guys are amazing. Sawtooth says incredibly talented.
I love Sawtooth. They saw.
Emojis. I'm not even sure why I can't read emojis, but thank you guys. So do you guys have some time for some questions for the audience?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely. For sure.
Let's do it. So guys, if you're in the chat right now and you have questions for Jocelyn and Chris, put them in the comments. We will, well, not me, but they will answer them live on the spot.
Oh, thank you guys. Oh, thank you for the love.
Love them. Insane. Insane. Good way.
Let's hope.
So, and so
What
many.
does success mean to you guys?
Ooh, what does success mean to us? I feel like, kind of a two-parter. I feel like the number one thing is that like we're happy doing what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that is like number one. You know, if we didn't enjoy this, like we would, you know, there's a lot of other things that we could be doing that maybe are a little bit easier or more straightforward, but we love music. So the fact that we are able to do music as our job is, it's amazing. And I feel like we're on the right track, you know, but, you know, in terms of what our future goals are in terms of what we would like to accomplish. I mean, the sky's the limit. I know that's like cheesy, but it's true. I would love to win a bunch of Grammys. I'd love to perform on SNL. I would love to play Madison Square Garden, you know, and I feel like we're just going to put one foot in front of the other and we're going to see where our music takes us. Yeah.
Totally. I love that. Chris, what does success mean to you?
You know, I mean, honestly, it's basically the same answer. I feel like the first level is like Jocelyn said, being able to be happy doing what we're doing. And yeah. I think that's more than just loving it a little bit. It's being able to, like, you know, we're full-time, we do this full-time, we don't do anything else. And like being able to actually like sustain ourselves, which it's like such a blessing to be able to do that. It's so hard. It's such a hard business. And I know there are so many musicians out there who would like kill just to be in a position where they have the support and they're making the resources necessary to like live full time as musicians. And it's really, really awesome that we are there. And I'm super thankful for that. But also, like Jocelyn said, I mean, I want to go sell out 50,000 seat stadiums across the world and win Grammys and, play music in space. I don't know.
Yes! Oh my gosh, play music in space.
That's a good one.
It seems like it might happen sometime bepore we die.
I mean, why not, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to do space, like, you guys have to be the first ones.
Yes, yeah. Absolutely.
You know?
A Mars
question here. How does it feel to hear your songs on the radio?
It is a crazy feeling that I'm definitely not used to, and I don't know if I'll ever be used to it. Like, I kind of don't want to get used to it, if in a weird way, because I just feel like every time it happens, it's a very surreal moment for us. And you know, we talked about earlier, like, there's always a zillion things that we could be doing, and there's always something that gets, you know, left undone at the end of the day, and that's just the nature of, you know, I feel like being your own boss and kind of having to direct your own, like,
life,
your own
your
life.
Job, yeah.
But it's moments like that, like when you turn on the radio and you hear your song, it's like you can stop for a second and be like, okay, that's pretty cool. Like, that's objectively just really cool, you know. And the music that gets played on the same stations as our music is stuff that, you know, we've grown up listening to from people we absolutely adore. So it's a really cool moment, and it's really motivating. It's really motivating.
Mm-hmm. How about for you, Chris?
Oh man. Yeah, it's like, I feel like I was saying earlier, it's kind of easy to, when you're working on something every day, it's easy to work on it for so long and feel like you're not making progress, because every single day the progress is so incremental. But then you can look back and there are these moments and there are these like kind of milestones where it's like, holy crap, like we did that, like we did a thing and we've grown and it's awesome. And like putting out the album is one. I feel I'm so proud of this music, but also like the song being number 14 on the radio chart today, finding that out and finding out that it's on these radio stations across the country. And then we go and we drive across the country and we tune into this radio station in Ohio or in Illinois or in Colorado. Yeah. And like Sugar and Spice or Runaway or one of our songs will come on the radio, or like hearing from family, friends and family that lives all over the place that they heard our song, you know, like it's just so, it's really like, it's such a blessing to have that happen to us. I'm so proud of it. And it's awesome that people, I mean, we love our art, we love our music, and I am so thankful for the fact that other people do as well, and that we can send it out to these radio stations and people listen and they support it because they care about it. And that's, I don't think there's anything that could mean more than that as an artist, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, they support it, they love it, they tell people they know about it, they buy tickets to your show, they sing the lyrics back to you.
Yes, I love that. That's the best feeling in the world.
You're like, oh my gosh, we worked so hard on this, and like now you guys are all singing it.
It's wild. It's wild. And hearing like what our music means to other people, you know, like someone will come up to us after show and be like, you have no idea, I heard that song and here's how I relate to it with my own life, my own individual stories. So that's just, it's been really special to see how people make our music their own.
Yeah. James says, what's your favorite song on the new album?
Ooh, that's a really tough one.
Yeah.
I don't know if, I feel like it changes depending on the day.
Yeah.
My favorite, Ghost, which is the last track, is a personal favorite for mine. just because I think that it's a song that we really took a risk on writing. I mean, it's a song, the kernel idea of the song that kind of started the song is something that I thought of when I was in college. It was a lyric, and it never felt like the right time to approach writing that song until like the past year and a half. So it's really cool that we're at a place in our artistry that we can, I think, pull off a song like that. And it makes me really, really proud of how far we've come as musicians, I think, and how much we've grown into our songwriting. And so that song's really special for me, because I feel like it's very telling of how much we've progressed as people and as artists. Yeah. What about you?
I love that song. It was, I think it's the first song we've ever recorded that's just the two of us. Like, we did it basically as a one take. Never really done that kind of a thing before, and I don't think that we could have done it and pulled it off as well as we did in any other album, like you said. So it's really, like, I think that's really fun to listen to for me, because it's like very meaningful, and I think it just speaks to how much we've grown. But I don't know, it's so hard to pick a favorite. My favorite one to play live is Sugar and Spice. I could play that riff forever. We've done a few rehearsals where we've just jammed on that riff and like kind of like taken solos over it, and I hope we can bring that to a live show once, because it's just got so much funky energy, and it's just impossible not to smile and tap your foot while playing that or while listening to it. But also, like, like we were talking earlier, we grew up on a lot of rock and roll, and I think in this album more so than in our previous stuff, we really leaned into the rock side of our music. So there are songs like Break Me Down and Skeleton Key and Someone Else's Blood that like really just lean into like our rock roots, and it's really nice. I don't think we've ever done that before, and just playing those songs live, listening to them, I love. I mean, I'm a sucker for a good guitar riff. So, and any good rock song that's based around a guitar riff I'm already gonna like that a lot. So I'm proud that we have some of those on this record.
Yes, definitely. So Amanda says, I still can't believe your voice, Jocelyn. When did you find it? It is amazing.
Thank you, Amanda. So I started on piano in 4th grade. Had no idea beyond like being in the elementary school choir that I was a singer. And basically what happened is we started a band, like a little elementary school band. We had a talent show lined up in the town over that we were going to make our big performance debut at. And then our would-be singer kind of dropped out of the gig.
Oh, wow.
Some like elementary school band drama before the band even started. And basically we were set to do Led Zeppelin's Stairway to Heaven as like a bunch of 12-year-olds, which is awesome. We have video of it. It's actually great. It's great.
Oh my gosh, post it.
Yeah.
Post it.
That's a good idea too. We'll have to repost it because it's really cute. Chris killed the solo.
Wow.
Like no.
I tried.
I mean, people were like amazed because he's like this little tiny like 11-year-old kid up there like shredding. But yeah, I kind of drew the short straw in terms of being the singer. And I was like, oh, I guess I'm gonna try to sing it, and caught the bug, and kind of I haven't looked back since. We had that first performance, and yeah, I mean, at the end of it, people started standing up, which is pretty powerful feeling, and I still remember it. And we were like, yeah, this makes sense. This is something that we could do, So
love it. So iconic. So guys, that's all the time that we have this evening. But Jocelyn and Chris, any final words for the room?
Well, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in.
Thanks for having us. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much for spending your evening with us. And everybody in the comments, hello and welcome and thank you. If you're coming back, and I know a lot of you are Arnfarks, that's our music family, because we're siblings and our last name is Arndt. So welcome, and love you guys. And if you are new to us, welcome to the family, and don't be strangers. We'll see you guys soon, hopefully out on the road. We have lots of shows coming up. We'd love to play for you. So
Yes, guys, if you haven't already, please go see Jocelyn and Chris live in a city near you. Even if you've been before, come out. They have a lot of new shows coming up. The new album is amazing. And I just want to say, Jocelyn and Chris, thank you so much for taking the time out of your schedule to come on my show and talk to me and interact with the fans. I'm so very grateful that I had this opportunity to connect with you guys. I mean, I saw you live. We got that photo. It meant so much to me.
well, thank you,
Oh,
and thank you so
thanks
much
for having
for
us.
being such a music supporter. It's
Yeah.
like, it's really awesome when people like you just get it, you know? So thank you. Really appreciate it.
Guys, you are so amazing. I wish you all the success in the world. I can't wait to have you back on the show. And I am definitely coming to the next New York show. Guys, if you don't already, make sure to follow Jocelyn and Chris. Go to the website, go get tickets to the show, buy the merch, buy the new album, support good music. Like I said, give them a follow. And if you're new here to me, I'm Ashley Live. This is Vibe with Ashley Live. Give us both a follow, support good music, be kind, have a wonderful evening, and we'll see you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.